welders of TikTok. I bought a welder and I was gonna weld something. And so I put the visor on. Is it normal? Like you guys can't see anything? Anything. Like it's protecting your eyes to the point where you can't even see. Is that normal? I don't understand. Help. Help.
Okay, so this person's got a question on welding hoods and how dark they're supposed to be when you look through them. And this is actually a pretty frequent question that I've gotten from people who don't do welding a whole lot. I can't see anything. How am I supposed to start a weld until I can't see anything? How am I supposed to, like, are you supposed to be blind? Is it supposed to be completely dark? Sometimes yes. It depends what kind of hood you're using. This is a fixed shade lens. It does not darken all by itself because it's always dark. This is an automatically dimming lens. It's got a little liquid crystal display and there's some other photoelectronics going on in there that can sense when there's a bright light and then it'll dim. You should also know that even when these are broken or not working, they have a UV filter in them. So although they might not work, if they ever don't work, it shouldn't hurt your eyes. It'll just be uncomfortably bright, but you won't actually get UV, like welder's flash, burning into your retinas. I'm going to demonstrate real quick with my TIG welder what it looks like underneath a fixed shade lens and underneath a automatic dimming lens, and it's not going to be perfect, but I think you'll get the idea. I was working on another video and I had some materials out and it gave me an idea to explain this concept. So first of all, I'm just going to make a bright light with my TIG torch here, which is an arc welding process. You can't see much of that in the phone because, well, you need a welding hood to really see what's going on at the arc. First, I'm going to show what it looks like under a fixed shade lens that doesn't dim all by itself and stays dark all the time, but it's kind of awkward to stick this underneath my phone while I'm trying to do a weld, so I'm just going to use the lens. This is the same lens that is inside of my hood, it's handheld. So you just stick it up underneath my camera like that, got it? Okay, now watch. You can't see a thing, can you? And that is how it is when you're welding. But then watch what happens as I fire up my arc again. Oh look, there it is. Oh, it's hard to weld on a phone through a lens. But that's all you can see is the work being done down there at the arc. And no, you don't see it until you fire up the arc. Everything is black until you get that light down there. Let's compare that with the auto dimmer. With an auto dimming hood, it will dim to the darkness that you need when you put the arc on, but until then, it gives you the ability to see before then. So watch. See how it dimmed? And I can still see the work there. It's not focusing properly. If I were under the hood, this would be working better. This is tricky to film. But I think the point I'm trying to make is that it dims automatically when you get the bright light, and then as soon as you let off on the arc, you get your vision back. And that's the nice part about auto dimmers. So no, if you've got a fixed shade lens, and especially if it's a dark one, like I used to run shade 12 when I was in industry because we ran like 35 and 45 thousandths flux core wire, which is very bright and it can affect your eyes, so I tended to be more careful. The lowest I go is a shade 10, and even then you can't see anything through it. Sometimes when you're outside, like if you're outside in the daylight working, you can make out forms and like the sun, but no, you can't see through those. Can't see anything, you're blind. But when I was an instructor, I made my students start on fixed shade lenses because they drill good habits into you. This is something that another creator, Wolf, and I agree on, is that you should start new welders off with a fixed shade lens because it teaches you to get comfortable when you start welding. So you know if you're not going to be able to see anything and you want to make a weld exactly across that line, you don't want to be moving around like this. You want to have the bottom of your body completely locked in, and you want to know where you're starting, where you're finishing, do a dry run, get set up where you want to start, flick your head down, and then start moving. I was just giving a lesson tonight to a boy who I have to break this habit of. He will get set up and then he will lift this hand up to put his hood down and start welding. And in between getting set up to where you want to be and then putting your hood down, you can move a whole lot. Especially, I was trying to get him to anchor himself to the table too. He wouldn't quite anchor himself to the table. And so between that and like getting ready and putting his hood down, and he was stick welding too, having a hard time getting it started. He would be bouncing all over the plate, arcing off on the plate, arcing off on the table. So fixed shade lenses, ouch. Fixed shade lenses aren't as comfortable to work with, but if you can learn how to start a weld where you want to start it using one of these by getting yourself comfortable, getting yourself in position so that the only factors you have to worry about is your shoulder and your elbow and your wrist, and you can use the other hand to support yourself, and you get that nod down. When you go to an auto dimmer, you're more likely to just be phenomenal.